good time. We're just getting ready and looking for a great day.
Hey!
Nervous and excited all at the same time. Looking forward to it.
Just 3 minutes before the start. It's a little darker than I remember in years past, but the skies are clear. There's a drone overhead, and there's a jillion people here on Main Street in Emporia. So we're heading north for the first time. Let's get going. It's always exciting leaving town for adventure with more than 1,000 people on gravel bikes. Kat was behind me, and we were headed north for whatever the Dirty Kanza had in mind for us this year.
As we began, I really felt good. My legs felt great. I prepared better this year by doing weightlifting, and it really paid off, at least for the first 90 miles.
After a few miles, the pack started breaking up. I could see 2 distinct packs in front of the group we were in. With so many bikes and wheels, dust was everywhere. Some people had bandanas over their faces. Not a bad idea, I thought.
Starting, all I have is oatmeal. That's all I'm thinking about.
How's it going? Good, how are you doing? Good. Well, we're 20 miles in, and we got a nice brisk ride out of town. We're headed north. It's been pretty fun. The speed's been reasonable, and the roads have been in great shape. So we're looking forward to a great day here, Dirty Kanza 2019. Once we hit the Wabaunsee County line, the roads got rougher. Lots of loose gravel and patches of even thicker chat. Sometimes it was almost like snow. This dirt road is familiar to me. We raced on this road at Maisie's Pride just a few weeks ago. It's drier now, but still a challenging road. Good place to stop. Heading into Eskridge made me feel almost like coming home. We live sort of close to Eskridge, and I do training rides to Eskridge all the time. It was fun to see a small contingent of gravel fans there cheering us on, including our friend Casey Clark. As we cruised out of town, I thought, this is where the real race begins. We're 40 miles plus at this point, and any large packs have broken into smaller groups. Not everyone wants to go downhill at the same speed as Catherine. She was really bombing the downhills. The vistas from these Wabaunsee County roads can be breathtakingly beautiful, especially if you're on a relatively smooth road like this one is. An interesting thing about Wabaunsee County is you see a lot of limestone fences like this. Some date back to the late 1800s. Some have been rebuilt. As we neared Alma, I sensed it was getting too hot, too fast. But at least the rain was holding back. We had a good average speed going, we were feeling good, and it was great to see our crew of Julie and Joe in the shade.
Just leave your bike there and I'll lube your chain for you.
Okay, awesome.
It was definitely going to be a hot day. That was certain as we headed out for what I was calling the meat and potatoes of the Dirty Kanza. The next 100 miles were going to be rough, hilly, and hot. I hoped we had enough food and water to get us to Council Grove. As we hit Little Egypt Road, we started seeing DK XL riders going the other direction.
Way to go, XL.
Wow, I thought they have been going since 3 o'clock yesterday. Little Egypt is famous for its big loose gravel and its hills. For sure, it's a cool little area to ride your bike through. As we hit the ascent, our years of mountain biking paid off, as both Kat and I rode by like 10 or 15 riders walking their bikes up the gnarly climb of Little Egypt Road, and that felt pretty good. Once over the top, we had a brief moment to ride with Andrea, who we met the night before at dinner in the dorm. Andrea is Dutch and works for the UN in New York City.
Around your neck for you?
Okay, sure.
There you go. There you go.
It's good, it's good.
Refreshing, hopefully. There you go.
Ice bandana, thanks to our friends at EF. The water stop in Voland was so welcome and a real lifesaver. What an oasis. Cold, clean water and iced bandanas. It was just what we needed.
What I did was I turned on that water and I put my melon head underneath it and the water just rushed over it. I couldn't have been happier.
Okay, I thought, we are halfway at this point. 100 miles down, 100 to go. The effects of the cool down did not last long, and by this point, it felt like 98 degrees. I had my sights set on one thing only: just get to the next water stop in Alta Vista, 20 miles. I wish I had more footage of this water stop, but I was wiped out.
Thank goodness for Alta Vista. Men with buckets of ice and lots of grass and pavement under huge trees. It was like an oasis, except it also was like a graveyard. There were people everywhere. It was hot. There were mounds of bodies littering the roads. It kind of looked like a battle zone. People were just trying to deal with the punishing heat. Keith was really good at this point. I picked something up from him during this particular DK, and that was he seemed to, no matter how bad he was feeling, and actually, the last 100 miles, he seemed to feel pretty good, but he would focus on just the next place we were getting to. He never really talked about getting to Emporia or how many more miles we had. He would just say the next stop is Alta Vista, or the next stop is Council Grove.
Just think about getting to Council Grove in 30 miles was all I thought.
So after we reluctantly left Alta Vista, I realized that someone's promise that there were only 3 more hills until Council Groves was just a total lie.
I have never seen so many riders just standing by their bikes, overcome by exhaustion or heat or whatever. Sometimes in the shade of a tree, sometimes just wherever they ran out of juice. I knew there were going to be a lot of hills as we neared Council Grove, and there were. I felt like we were stuck in a time loop, Maybe this will be the last hill. No. Maybe this will be the last hill. No.
I still was amazed that I could trick my mind, really dupe my mind into believing that just over the next hill we'd see Council Grove. And that seemed to work for about 15 hills.
Somewhere in these miles, Kat's riding style went from hurry up, Keith, to wait for me. We needed to stick together, that was true. But still, I wondered if either of us would make it to the finish. Finally, we hit the Flint Hills Trail, and I knew we were in Council Grove. What a relief.
I could have stayed in Council Grove for the rest of the night. People were feeding me sandwiches and cold water. What could be better? But Julie, Joe, John, and Chris seemed to be suggesting with some sense of urgency that we needed to get going.
As we left Council Grove, I didn't want to think about another 50 miles or how long that was going to take. So we just kept pedaling and pedaling. We were not going to set any speed records, but we were doing okay. The sun did get lower in the sky, and finally, it did start to cool off. That made the remaining miles seem more doable.
Well, at this point, the next stop was the Salsa Chaise. I was thinking, that's great, I can just lie down and never get up and just get to the Salsa Chaise. So that was the next gold ring that I was aiming for.
As we went up and over the last big hill at Lake Kahalo, we finally saw the station and got off our bike for a quick photo to commemorate the occasion.
I think that picture of us says it all. There's Keith looking all fresh and just like he walked out of a photo shoot of a magazine, and there's Catherine with a banana in her hand. Well, at mile 190, I made a mistake. And in deep, thick ruts, I decided to change lanes, crossed my wheel, high-sided, and landed with a thud. But all was good, except for the broken light, so we limped our way to the finish.
With just one headlight between us, we finally made it onto the ESU campus and breathed a sigh of relief. This Dirty Kanza had been my hardest, and I've done 7.
We weren't limping so much anymore. We were riding quickly, and we were smiling, and we were sitting up on our bikes, and we were high-fiving everyone. And that made the whole thing worth it. Thanks, DK. Another great experience.
Nothing beats the sensation of riding down the finishing chute, completing the Dirty Kanza 200.